been doing push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday to you. It is DJ Yoakley here with a Ysn Power Hour, a Friday edition. We're going to get you into the weekend the right way right here on Ysn and present it all to you on behalf of Toyota of Warren. And a big thank you to them. So thanks to our friends Tino and all the great people out there at Toyota of Warren for sponsoring this show and making it absolutely opportunistic for you to learn a little bit more about the day in sports here in the Northeastern Ohio region. As we do each and every day, we get to the birthdays. So let's get this one and blow out this candle. Here we go. All right, so it's a little bit stingy on birthdays today. I'm not going to lie to you. So we're going to start out with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who was born in 1756, famous composer, obviously. And then it doesn't get much better from there. So I don't know if anybody remembers John Witherspoon, who passed away just a couple of years ago. He was the dad from Friday and Next Friday. Craig, that guy. He celebrated his birthday today. And then finally, one of the only three that we have, Patton Oswalt, who turns 53 today, which is one of those dudes, weirdly enough, we talked about people that seem like they're older than or I guess they feel younger than they really are when you do this. Patton Oswalt, I feel like, should be like 10 years older. If he's 53, I feel like he should be 63. Just a weird dude. Sometimes funny, sometimes just way off the rail. So I can definitely attest to that. It is a Friday. It was some great games on the docket last night. We had a bunch of them. I had a great one myself. Saw a triple-double, I believe, for the first time ever on YSN under my eye is Ashley Schroeds from Southern. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But let's get to the scoreboard. If you want to keep up, all you have to do is go to ysnlive.com/score, and you can check up the scoreboard anytime during the day or night and stay up to date with all the information, all the scores around the entire area. All right, let's start with Badger getting a big win, 41-37 over Pymatuning Valley. Girard comes up short against Struthers last night. This is all girls basketball, by the way. 74-63, Struthers over Girard. Lakeview short against Hubbard. It's no, I take that back. Lakeview beats Hubbard 29-27 final score. Leetonia comes up short against Lisbon 53-44. Crestview beats Newton Falls 39-23. You've got Liberty that comes up short against Garrettsville Garfield by a final of 59-42. We also have Niles coming up short against the South Range, who really stuck it to Niles last night, 55-15. You've got Springfield over top Lowellville, 62-39. Wellsville comes up short against United. Final score in that one, 60-20. Waterloo all over Sebring last night, 60-11. Camel Memorial comes up short against Champion, 52-20. Columbiana all over Valley Christian, 50-11. We have LeBray shortage against Brookfield, 62-23. Akron Ellett comes up short against Archbishop Hoban. That final was 75-51. Western Reserve, again, 2 points short in a great game against Mineral Ridge, 50-48. Poland beats Jefferson last night, 39-27, and then East Palestine comes up short against Southern Local. Your final there, 56-21. I had the opportunity to call that game, and Ashley Schroeds was just on fire. I mean, it started out 2-2, and then all of a sudden, Southern just did not look back. They took the ball at every single opportunity they could. Ashley Schroeds ended up with 35 points. I want to say 11 rebounds, 10 assists, something like that. So it was ridiculous, and she was close to a quadruple double as well. So when you look at that, I'm going to look that up as well, because that's going to bother me that I don't have the exact breakdown for you on that. Schroeds had 35 points, 10 boards, 11 steals, 7 assists, and a block. That was impressive. She was supplemented by Kennedy Lewis, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, pair of assists. Maddie Jones had 5 rebounds, a block. Josie Stanley went. I thought this was cool. One of the coolest stats I saw last night was Josie Stanley, where she had a pair of points, a pair of rebounds, a pair of steals, and a pair of assists all across the board. 2, 2, 2, and 2. Very, very cool. Olivia Kearns, she had an unbelievable game defensively. She put up 6 points, had a rebound, and 2 blocks. One of them was big, like mama style block. Whack, get out of my kitchen, don't come back. Gigi Rogers, also for Southern, ripped out 5 boards in the contest. For East Palestine last night, Gabby Andre leading the way with 9 points. Leila Martin with 8. Cammie Kreidler, Jasmine Lute, and Mara Zimmerman all contributed the rest of the scoring for the Bulldogs. Southern, who is now 13-4, 8-3 overall in the conference, going to take on River on the 30th, while East Palestine is 11-7 overall, 6-5. We'll head to Wellsville on Monday to settle the score with Wellsville, with the Lady Tigers. Had a chance to talk to both Coach Scrinjar and Ashley Schroeds, so you can see all of that on ysnlive.com in the story for the game last night. Other things I wanted to talk about today, certainly the standings. We are starting to go down the home stretch, and as I talked about with some of the guys today, it gets real, and it starts to get real starting this week. So if you're trying to put this stuff on the back burner and say, hey, we got plenty of time in the season, that's just not the case anymore. Let's look at the standings in the All-American Conference. Let's start with the girls, and then we'll go to the boys. And that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to go to the standings in this show and see where everybody is and what's the opportunity they have to move forward and either win a conference, or what's the outlook for the tournament. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it cloudy? Is it murky? Or is it sunshine all the way? So for the girls in the AAC, Canfield sitting pretty at 5-0 in the conference, 15-1 overall. Boardman 10-7, 4-2 in the conference. Howland is 9-9 and 3-4 in the conference. Fitch with the same record in conference play, but 9-10 overall. Warren Harding trailing the pack with an 8-11 overall record and 0-5 in the conference. So obviously that stings a little bit for Harding. But you look at a team like Boardman, I think that they're probably too far out of it now to win the conference. But I think that this Boardman basketball team can certainly shake things up in the tournament. I think that they have every opportunity and the players in place to play upset and to ruin people's seasons. Because once you get into that, as we all know, you get into that play where it's a one-game season, Boardman has the weapons. They have the speed, the talent, all of it to be able to shake things up. And you don't know where they're going to be. Obviously, I was talking to Eric Bailey, EB, as we know him here on YSN. And it makes you wonder, the west part of the state does it based on RPI. They do the seedings based on RPI. The coaches still vote here, and I believe the coaches vote is this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So how are you going to vote in a Canfield, a Boardman, a Howland, a Fitch, a Harding? I mean, I feel like even with Fitch being 3-4 in the conference, there's a lot of people that look at Fitch and say they can beat you on any given day. And how do you seed that? And that's why I think, RPI makes a lot of sense. If we were able to adopt the RPI system, as EB and I were talking about over here, and it would just make things so much easier, and you'd almost know exactly where you're going to be before you even leave the house on that day. And you'd know going into this week kind of where you're going to be. You can slip as far as this, or you can climb as far as here. So I'm really interested to see kind of where Boardman ends up. I would not be surprised if a lot of people put them lower than they deserve to be. And the reason being is because it's been a minute since Boardman's been able to hold their own. A lot of people are going to look at that 10-7 overall record and say to themselves, well, you know, that's good, but you're near 500. You're 3 games over 500. What is that going to do? And they're playing some big teams. However, you look at the teams they play, that's a good record to have. 10-7. That's a competitive record. And to me, what's even more impressive is I'm basing it off of the last few years, right? I'm basing it off of what Boardman has overcome, what record they had last year, the year before, yada, 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 and where they're at now. I was told before the season that Boardman would make us proud, and that's exactly what they've done. No matter if they win the conference or not, the Boardman Lady Spartans have certainly planted a flag in what is, I'm sure, going to be a great era under Jeff Hamilton and his staff. So kudos to them. Kudos to Canfield. My goodness. Like everybody, I feel like Canfield this year is in the same boat that Salem was last year. People just keep saying, well, they're not. Why do you have them on top? They're not the real deal. They're not the real. Trust me, they're the real deal. They are the real deal. They have so many cooks in that kitchen, and the recipes just keep coming out beautifully. Canfield is the real deal. They're going to do, I think they're going to make a big run in the tournament this year. Let's flip over to the boys. Canfield on top again, 12-3 overall, 3-0 in the conference. Austintown Fitch, they're 9-6, 3-1 in the conference. Harding is 8-7, 3-1 in the conference. Boardman 6-9 and 1-3 in the conference. And overall, Howland is 7-8 and looking for their first conference victory. When you're looking at the boys' side of the All-American Conference, what you have to look at is it is anybody can win on any given night. And I say that a lot, and a lot of people, okay, that's just DJ's cliche. No, this is real. This is real. I mean, look, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1, 1-3, 0-5. And I still don't think Howland is necessarily a pushover when it comes to this. I think Howland can still put up a fight against any team in the All-American Conference. I really do. I think Fitch is far from done when it comes to what they can do in this conference. I love Coach Beanie's leadership. I love the way that his guys respond to him. I love that this Fitch team could be very, very special. Very, very special. But you look at this Canfield team and Coach Cullen, and everybody said, well, there's, look how much they lost. Look how many seniors they lost. Look at Coach Cullen. There's a reason this guy's got a bazillion wins, right? Because he gets his guys to play for him. And that's exactly what the Cardinals are doing. Sitting 3-0 in the conference, 12-3 overall. And they don't have a slouch schedule either. So, again, Canfield basketball picking up right where football left off. And they could make a push down the stretch. And now that these guys have seen the celebrations that Canfield holds for their champions, I'm not going to lie to you, that's a little bit of an incentive, right? I saw a post yesterday, Canfield, they had one of those Letterman jackets, and the patch that's going to go on is the D3 state champions. If you're a basketball player, you've got to see that. And you've got to wonder, why not us? Why not us? And I think Fitch can be in the same argument. Fitch sees what everybody else is getting when they win these state championships, and they say, well, why not us? We want people to be talking about us the same way they talk about this team and that team and that team. 9-6 isn't a bad record. I think there's a lot of people that are going to look past Austintown Fitch as they have been done already this year. So I think the Canfield and Fitch can make a big shakeup. That's where I was going with it here in the tournament. So in 2023, be on the lookout. I still don't want to look past Harding or Boardman either. I really don't. The way Pat Birch can get his guys to play, they were really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. And obviously the level of competition that they've put up and played against has put them in where they're at, 6-9. They're a young team. They graduated a lot last year. They're learning this year, and they'll be earning next year, or maybe even down the stretch. So we'll see how it goes. Let's get to, do we have a comment today? Amo? Amo says, my cousin said Louisville basketball team may be one of the best teams she's ever played against in 20 years of Louisville. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. In the best of 20 years coaching outside of playing St. V in the tournament. Fun to watch. Interesting because isn't your cousin on Marlington? So I would assume that Salem's probably up there too. If I'm not, I mean, I'm just, again, don't kill the messenger. I'm just, Salem had a big win the other night. Amo, you were the one that reported it. Let's get to, oh, it's guys. All right, well, that makes a little bit more. Yeah, Louisville is very good. I don't want to take anything away from Louisville. Yes, they're very, very good. Yeah, compare them to St. V's. I'll bet you they're all really excited about that. Let's get to the Buckeye 8 real quick. Only a couple teams that we cover here in the Buckeye 8. And it is obviously East Liverpool and Beaver Local. So East Liverpool on the boys' side, top of the charts, 5-0 in the conference, 12-3 overall. Harrison Central 7-7, 5-2 in the conference. Indian Creek 9-7 and 5-3. Beaver Local is 8-8, 2-6 overall in the conference. And Edison, 3 teams. I apologize. Edison is 4-12 and 0-5 in the conference. For the girls, Indian Creek 13-4, 6-0. Harrison Central is 10-8 and 5-3. East Liverpool is 5-11 and 5-3. All their wins this year have come in the conference. Something to be said for that. Beaver Local is 3-14 overall, 2-6 in the conference, and winless in the conference is, pardon me, Edison, who sits 7-10 overall. Let's move on over to the CVC. This is one that is kind of new to this area. Richmond Heights, that's a team you're going to want to at least watch. You're going to hear a lot about them here in the next few weeks. Richmond Heights, 17-0 overall, 7-0 in the conference. Hawken is 9-8, 4-3. Beechwood, 10-5, 3-4 in the conference. And then the CVC, you have 3-4 Chagrin Falls, 9-5 overall. West Geauga is 8-9 overall, 2-5 in the conference. And Orange, rounding out the boys in the Chagrin division with a 4-11 overall record, 2-5 in the conference. The Lake Division for the boys, Perry leads the way, 12-2, 4-0 overall. Edgewood, 9-7 overall, 4-1 in the conference. Lakeside, 4-11, 2-2 in the conference. Geneva is 4-12, 1-3 in the conference. And Harvey is 2-11 and 0-5. Let's get to the girls' side, starting with the Chagrin division. Chagrin Falls, 15-3 overall, 7-0 in the conference. Hawken is 10-7 and 4-2 in the conference. West Geauga, 11-8, 4-3. Orange, 6-11 and 1-5. Beechwood rounding out the overall Chagrin division at 3-13 and 0-6. Perry leads the Lake division, 14-4. Obviously, well, not obviously, 6-0 in the conference. Edgewood is 13-3 with a 4-2 record in conference. Geneva, 7-9 and 3-4. Harvey is 3-13 and 2-3, and Lakeside rounding out the bunch, still looking for their first win of the season, 0-18 and 0-6. Going to the EBC where it is toit like a toiger. Carrollton for the boys, they are off and running, 15-2 overall, 6-1 in the conference, 6-1 in the conference as well. The Alliance Aviators, who are 10-4 overall on the year. West Branch is 7-6 and 4-3 in the EBC, followed by Marlington, who is 6-9 and 2-5. Salem, 6-9 and 2-5, and Minerva rounding out the EBC on the boys' side, 5-11 and 1-6. For the girls, Marlington is tied atop the standings with the Salem Lady Quakers. Both teams 15-2, both teams 8-1. Some of the best teams and the best basketball you're going to see in the state. Those two teams. Carrollton, 11-6 and 4-4. West Branch is 7-10, 3-5. Sophia Gregory's back. Don't count out those West Branch Lady Warriors quite yet. Alliance is 8-11 and 2-6, and Minerva is 2-15 and 0-8. Heading over to EOAC, where it's a little bit closer to home for us. The boys' side of things, 9-5 overall. The Wellsville Tigers, they're 7-1 in conference. Lisbon is 11-4 and 7-2. Fighting for that conference crown are the Lisbon Blue Devils because they got that big win over Valley Christian just last Friday, I believe. 8-4 overall and 6-3 in the conference for Valley Christian. Columbiana is 9-6 and 5-4 in the EOAC. Southern Local 8-5 and 4-3 in conference. United is 6-9 and 4-6. East Palestine 4-12 with a 1-7 conference record. And Leetonia 0-16 and 0-11, looking for their first win of the year. The girls' side, United, who many already counted out at the beginning of the season. They said there is no way this United team, with as much as they lost, including their coach, they are not going to be atop the standings down the stretch. And yet here they are. An amazing job by Coach Leak out there and the young ladies in United. What a community. We're going to talk about that before we get on the rest of the show. But first, we'll get through the standings. United is 12-5 overall, 11-0 in the conference. Perfect so far through 11 games. Columbiana 11-7. They're 8-2 in the conference. Southern is 13-4 and 8-3 in EOAC play. East Palestine had their 6-game winning streak snapped last night. They're now 11-7 and 6-5 in the EOAC. Lisbon 5-10 and 4-4. Wellsville is 8-9, 4-6 in the conference. Valley Christian is 5-10, 1-8, and Leetonia is 3-14 overall, but 0-11 in conference play. So last night, United had youth night, and this along with the school game that Badger was supposed to do, but it got snowed out, are two things that I really wish teams did more of. And for youth night, in case you didn't see it, we put it out there on social. I know Sigler was out there. He did always does a phenomenal job for us. But they included he and Dr. Dave Dees in the autograph book, which I thought was the tip of the cap, right, to United for including us in that. What I think is even cooler is, and I try to showcase this every single time it comes up, but United seems to be, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, United seems to be the only team that does this. And bringing inviting these young ladies to their games and these kids to their games and celebrating that these student athletes, whether they're freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, coaches, announcers, they're in the eyes of a young person, a young athlete, they are superstars. It's the way that we look at professional athletes now. You can reach out and touch these athletes, though. They'll sit and they'll talk to you. They'll explain to you, what they've gone through, what they've done to get there, the choices they've had to make, good, bad, and indifferent. I love the way that United does this. I love the way that they incorporate youth night and celebrate not only their players that are going through now and make them feel like superstars, but they give like a nugget, right? The carrot, so to speak, at the end of the stick to those young athletes who want to be in their shoes someday. I want to sign autographs someday. I want to, the things that these young players, these young athletes that are involved in these programs think about. And I want to be like such and such. I want to be like this player. I want to be like that player. It's not necessarily there anymore. And we do our best. And obviously we have a lot of work to do, but we do our best to make these kids feel like the superstars that they are, because they are. There's a lot of work. And especially nowadays, there is a ton of commitment that it takes to become a student athlete, to be a student athlete. Obviously, the student side of it, the academic side of it comes first, but the athletic side, I mean, think about a young boy or a young girl who sees Ashley Schroeds go off last night for 35 points for a triple-double, and you start saying, man, I want to be like her. Or you see a young boy that sees Terrence Pankey put one down and puts up, 100 points a game. I want to be like him. Now, it's just as tough sometimes to fill those shoes and to be part of who that person is. But I will tell you that they're a little bit more attainable. Those dreams are a little bit more attainable. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't dream big. But what I'm saying is kind of use stretch goals, right? I want to be like this person or I want to be like that person. The big thing for me is always role models. That's why one of my questions is always who is your role model and why? You can tell a lot about a person by their role models. And I love the fact that United is encapsulating their own community to create role models for the next generation. I think that if people were listening and watching, you should take one thing away is that everybody should create role models in their own schools, in their own hallways, in their own gyms, in their own on their own football fields, on their own baseball fields, and softball fields, and volleyball courts, and you name it. That's where I think schools have gotten away from things, and could be for good reason. But with all this, the bad stuff that we see on the news, why wouldn't you want to be proactive in making your community something that your community looks up to? And I know it sounds easier than it probably is, but let's be real. And Sigler chiming in right now. Being a part of it is tremendous. They do a great job. They do. They absolutely do. But why can't we do that more? Why is it just we kind of hold it down and we do it once a year? I mean, imagine if we did that every single game. Every single home game, we had autograph sessions. And that we try to do that at our all-star games because they're all-stars. They're celebrities. Let's have some autograph sessions. Let's let the kids in for free. Let's get these kids excited and rejuvenated about the programs that we bring in. It's easy to let kids free, during baseball and softball season because it typically doesn't cost any money. I think the majority of times that we do things the right thing, whether it costs money or not, and it spins around and it turns into a great thing for everybody involved. Makes you feel good, makes you all that stuff. And I understand there's bills to pay. Don't get me wrong. 100%, I am privy to that. However, we live in a world that's so short-sighted in recruiting, right? So let's get more people excited and jazzed up about these programs down the stretch. I want to be on this team. I want to be on, you don't want to leave your community. You don't want to leave, you want to know how you battle open enrollment? You want to know how you battle kids leaving, whether it's for academic, athletic, whatever the reason? You give them something to be proud of. You give them something to hold on to cling on to. We talk about open enrollment a lot on this show because I'm a believer in it, because capitalism tells me if this place is not going to fit your needs, then you need to go somewhere else. And whether that's picking up and moving, or if you're able to drive or commute, whatever, that's your decision. But I think instead of blaming the problem, as in the problem is open enrollment, we should shut that off. We look internally and we go, okay, what are we doing wrong here? And I think the start of it is you have to start treating your student athletes, your young men and young women, your coaches, with the respect that they deserve. Because let's face it, and I don't know if there's anybody that's watching or listening that can help me translate this message, but yeah, as important as the dollars are coming from the state are, if there's nobody going to your school, you're not going to get that money anymore. So the tail's kind of wagging the dog a little bit when it comes to how do we get more money from the state? Well, how about you invest in your kids? How about you invest in your student athletes? How about you invest in your coaches? The people that are closest to your student athletes, your parents, coaches, your teachers, your educators, those people will be the ones that make a difference in the long run. And for the sake of this program, being that we're all sports, your coaches and your student athletes. If it's been 12, 13, 14, 15 years since your student athletes got new uniforms, maybe you should think about new uniforms. If it's been 15 years since you renovated your facilities, maybe you should renovate your facilities. Everything has come down a notch. So think professional is now what college was 10, 20 years ago, and college is now into the high schools and what it was 10, 20 years ago. So from that standpoint, make your players feel celebrated. Celebrate your community because nobody else is going to. If you're waiting on somebody else to celebrate your community or your program or whatever it may be, don't hold your breath. Just don't do it because it's not going to go well for you. Nobody's ever going to celebrate your wins as much as you can. Nobody's going to dismiss those losses faster than you can. So when I see something like last night with the United situation, and I'll be dead honest with you, I am going to give a unbelievable slow clap to United because they are doing a lot of things right out there. They're incorporating the Dunks for Downs charity basketball game. They're incorporating the youth night. They're incorporating the celebration of their own community because they know, DJ Ogilvy knows, if nobody's going to do it for us, then we better do it for ourselves. That you go to a United game and the stands are still packed. You go to a United game and the kids still get after it because they look up in the stands and their parents are still thinking that they're superstars. There's a different feeling in that small community that I am incredibly proud of. And I think more teams and more communities can take from that and literally copy, paste, Control C, Control V. Copy and paste it. That's all you have to do. They've already written the blueprint for you. Just take it. Just do it. And tip your cap to them and say, hey, we appreciate all you do. Because I'm telling you, there's not a lose in that. There's not a loss in that scenario. Is if you can take what other communities do. I love what Badger does. I absolutely love it. The school game, every school needs to do that. And they have to do it understanding that they're going to lose profit on that game. But if you're playing that short of a game, you're going to lose anyway. Play for the long game. Play for the next 10, 20, 30 years down the road. If you start that school game, you get those kids involved, you get them excited about the product, whether it be cheerleading, whether it be girls basketball, boys basketball, volleyball, anything you could put in that gymnasium. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? Get those kids excited. They're going to be excited if you just talk. They do it for pep rallies all the time. Why wouldn't you do it for a real game? And I understand maybe the parents get mad, but that's why you have us. They can watch their kid at work and they can show their fellow workers, hey, boom, there it is. My kid's on YSN. Check this out. That's not for our game. It's for your game. We're here for you. I think that having these school games, having these youth nights, having all of this involving the youth, we've gotten so far away from it because we're worried more about, okay, well, how do we get more wins? How do we stop losing? If you start investing in those kids and giving them something to look up to and look forward to, I'm guessing you won't lose as many. If you make them feel important, you make them feel loved like nobody else is going to love them, they're not going to look the other direction. They're not going to go. Pure and simple, they're not going to. Think how you feel, right? Think how you feel from that scenario. Like you get that comfortability. I'm not going to leave if I feel really good and I have everything I want here. Even if your team's losing, my friends are here. We're all in together. All our hands are in the pile. We're not leaving. That's the investment that these schools have to make, these programs have to make in their kids, and not just the ones that are playing right now. You have to look at the very foundation. Look at the preschoolers, the kindergartners, all the way up through your seniors. If you can't recruit your own halls, you're not going to be able to recruit anybody else to come in. That is rule number one. Some schools have got to do a better job. Some programs have got to do a better job of looking at what they already have and celebrating them constantly. But there's also there's work to do. There's work to be done. If you're investing in them, see how much they invest back in you. Just see how it goes. And if it goes sideways, call me up. Call me up and tell me I'm wrong. Because what are you losing? You're not losing much in the way of finances. You're not losing resources. You're doing what your job basically is in that scenario anyway. You're making the kids feel good about being in their hometown or in your school, in your program. That's what it's done. That's what it is. And what you'll find is a lot of these schools at the top of the ranks, as we talk about these standings, have done that. They've done that. Look at Wellsville. I am convinced 110% that nobody cares more about Wellsville than Wellsville. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Wellsville's sitting 9-5 overall, 7-1. If you go to Wellsville and you have a conversation with people from Wellsville, they will stack up the year that they graduated against the year that you graduated, and they will tell you that they would beat you 10 times out of 10. That is a real story. There is nothing wrong with that. I applaud that. I think that's awesome. That's the Rocky Balboa versus Mason Dixon. That's Balboa. That's the whole concept of Balboa. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's when we start talking about, well, we lost this kid because of this and this kid. No. That's a decision they made. What has your community done to keep your kids there? Programs. What have you done to keep the kids here? Stop blaming him. I mean, that's a Balboa speech. Don't blame him or her. Cowards do that, and that ain't you, right? Look internally, look in the mirror, and say, what have I done to make sure that these kids have the best experience possible? These young men and young women have the best experience possible. You're going to have people in your community that do that on a regular basis. Who's the ones that are laughing at them and pushing them away? The ones that are taking change, crumpling it up and tossing it. Those are the people that you need to, I don't want to say brainwash. Those are the people you need to change their way of thinking, because they're keeping you from your goals and the destination you want to get to. All right, let's get back to the standings. We got through the EOAC. Let's get to MVAC, which there's obviously two different tiers of divisions, whatever you want to call them. LeBray in the boys division, 11-4 overall. They are playing some great basketball. They are 8-1 in the conference. Newton Falls also 12-3 overall, 7-2 in the conference. While on the subject of Newton Falls, I want to say congratulations and thank you to Greg Lazzari for, I know he's stepping down as the football coach. Great man, great leader. He's going to stay as the athletic director. So glad to hear that. Greg, we wish you well, man. In third place, Brookfield, 11-5, 6-3 in the conference. Campbell Memorial is 6-10 overall and 6-3 in the conference. That's impressive that every Camel victory has come in the MVAC. Crestview, 9-7 overall, 5-4 in the conference. They're sitting in fifth place right now. Garfield's 4-13, 2-7 in the MVAC. Then you've got Liberty, who's 3-14, 1-8, and tied in that conference at the bottom is Champion, who's 1-8 and 1-15. Down the road we go. It's the MVAC Scarlet. Louisville is leading the way, 14-1, 9-0 overall. Springfield, 8-6, 7-2 in the conference. Waterloo, 10-5, 5-4 in the MVAC. Western Reserve, 7-9 overall, 5-4 internally. They have Sebring right on their tail. How about the freaking Trojans? Well done, boys. 10-7 overall and 4-5 in the conference. Jackson Milton, 5-10, 3-6 overall. In the conference. McDonald, 5-10 and 3-6 in the conference. And Mineral Ridge still winless at 0-15 and 0-9. Let's get to the girls' side of things. Garfield leading the way in the gray side of things. They are 16-1 and 10-1. Crestview right on their heels. 15-2 and 9-1. Brookfield is 13-3 overall and 8-2 in the conference. Liberty 8-6 and 5-4. You also have Champion, who is 5-13 and 4-7 in the conference. LeBray 4-13, 3-7, 7-10 and 3-8 are the Newton Falls Lady Tigers. Camel Memorial 0-18 and 0-11. Getting down to the Scarlet side of things, Springfield 15-2 overall, 10-0 in the conference. Waterloo, 12-6, 8-2 in the conference. Western Reserve, 12-5 and 6-3 in the MVAC. Then we have Mineral Ridge, 9-9 and 4-5, trying to even things out in the conference their next time through. Louisville, 7-10 overall, 2-7 in conference play. McDonald is 5-10 overall and 1-7 internally. And Sebring is 1-15 overall and 0-9 in the conference. You look at the NAC, or as we call it, the NAC. Bristol boys leading the way in the NAC, 9-7 overall, 5-4. Wyndham, a 9-5 overall record, a 5-3 conference record. Ashtabula St. John's, 4-9 and 3-5. Chalker is 5-11 and 2-9. Lordstown, 1-13 and 1-7, and Bloomfield is 0-2 and 0-2. I don't know if we just don't have the stats on them or the standings on them or what. I don't know. You look at the Stars division. Pymatuning Valley is 13-2, 7-1 overall. Badger is 13-3, 7-2 overall in second place. Matthews 10-6, 6-3. Fairport Harding is 5-10 and 4-4. Maplewood is 5-9 and 3-6. On the girls' side of things, the hottest team in the world right now, the Badger Lady Braves, 15-3 overall, 12-0 in conference. They are in a 13-game winning streak. Coach Lavelle is red hot with his ladies, and they are changing the world one game at a time. Excited for them. Super excited for them. Pie Valley, 12-5, 8-3 in the conference. Matthews is 11-7, 9-3 in the NAC. You've got Fairport Harding, that is 9-8, and 3-8 in the NAC. Maplewood, 3-12 and 1-11 overall. Chalker in the Stripes division, leading the way, 12-6 and 9-3. Wyndham, 6-12 overall, 6-5. All those wins coming in the conference. Bristol, 8-9 overall, 5-7 in the conference. Ashtabula St. John is 6-11 and 4-9. And Lordstown looking for their first win. They're sitting at 0-13 and 0-9. A couple more before we let you go. The NE8, this is a combative situation. Let's look at the boys first. Girard on top of the conference. They're 12-4 and 8-2. Jefferson is 12-4 and 7-2. South Range, 8-7 overall. They have made one heck of a comeback this season. 6-3 in the conference. Struthers, 9-6 overall, 6-4 in the conference. Poland, 6-10 overall, 5-5 in the conference. Niles, sitting right below them at 9-7 and 4-6. Hubbard, one seat out of the basement. It's 3-13 overall, 2-8 in the conference. And then you've got Lakeview on the bottom looking up. It's 2-14 and 1-9. The girls' side, oh man, get ready for a barn burner. Poland, 14-3 overall, 10-1 in the conference. Struthers is 13-6, 10-1 in the conference. Girard, 12-6, 8-3 in the conference. South Range is 8-8 and 7-4. Lakeview, 8-10 overall, 4-7 in the NE8. You have Jefferson, who is 4-13, 2-9 in the conference. Hubbard is 4-14 and 2-9 in conference play, and Niles rounds out the bunch. The 8, I guess, 3-13 and 0-11. We're gonna get the PTC real quick, and then we'll hit the Steel Valley Conference. All you need to know is JFK for the boys in second place at 10-2. They're 5-1 in the conference. They're tied for first place. Three-way tie between Mogador, JFK, and Aquinas in the PTC. And on the girls' side of things, JFK sitting in fourth place with a 6-10 overall record and 1-5 in the conference. And let's hit up the SVC, the Steel Valley Conference, where you got Ursuline, who I get the absolute pleasure to hang out with tonight. 13-1 overall, 2-0 in the conference. Cheney's 8-6, 2-1. East is 8-6, 1-2. And Cardinal Mooney is 9-5, but 0-2 in the Steel Valley. Girls' side, Ursuline leading things there as well. 11-6 overall, 4-0 in the conference. Mooney in second place, 7-12 overall, 3-1 in the conference. East is 12-6 and 1-3, and Cheney is 3-15 and 0-4. That is a complete rundown. If you're not absolutely bored out of your mind, I wish I had graphics for that. That is a complete rundown of conference and standings and all that stuff. You can get all of that on your own if you'd wish at ysnlive.com/standings. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Still a little bit to talk about and according to what's going on tonight. So make sure you stick around or go to ysnlive.com/live. Back right after this, after word from our great sponsor, Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply, I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching YSN. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at YSN is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name's Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
That is Anthony Hartwig, and his sports network is your sports network. All right, we got 20 games, or 20 events, I should say, on the docket tonight. 19 basketball games and a swim meet, I guess. And the swim meet starts at 4:40. It's going to be Chagrin Falls versus Orange. That's in swimming. Make sure you tune into that. Always fun to see something different on the network. Then you have Alliance at West Branch boys basketball tonight. Tip off at 7 o'clock. Fitch at Canfield. Tip off at 7 as well. All of these, as far as I know, boys basketball. I'll make sure we check that off as well. Badger in action against Ashtabula St. John tonight. It's 7 o'clock tip off there. All of these 7 o'clock tip offs. Just FYI. Boardman at Howland. Yeah, that's at 7. Champion at Garrettsville as well. Crestview at Brookfield, as well as Cleveland Central Catholic at Archbishop Hoban. Columbiana at Valley Christian, an EOAC matchup. Another one here. East Palestine at Southern. Fairport Harding at Wyndham. We also have Girard at Lakeview. Jefferson at South Range. Leetonia at Lisbon. Massillon, Washington at Ursuline. Niles at Portland. Richmond Heights at Edgewood. And Springfield at Lowellville. 2 more for you. Struthers at Hubbard and Wellsville at United. We've got complete coverage of pretty much every single game tonight. I know that there's a couple that we weren't able to get because we're still short on announcers due to some illness going around. So we wish them well. Hope that they can get back as soon as possible because we need full strength as we head into the tournament, as do these teams. Let's get to the Spark. Today, very simple, very compact, and we'll hit it up right after a quick promo here. Here we go. It's the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical. Make sure you get over to DickeyElectric.com or visit them on location in their headquarters in North Lima. Special thanks to Joe Dickey Electric and our good friend Eric Carlson, who's been a supporter since day one. All right. My spark today is a good one. I'm excited. I got the Irish gear on. I'm ready to go. I know it's baseball, but I'm going to basketball. I'm excited to see these teams. The number one team in our power rankings pretty much the entire year for boys basketball are the Ursuline Irish. I'm excited to see the atmosphere. Massillon always brings a good crowd, whether it's football, basketball, whatever. Massillon, Washington, always. Tigers always show up. So it's going to be, I would imagine it's got to be pretty close to packed tonight. I'm excited to be in the attendance for that and excited to get my first live look at the Ursuline Irish via 2023. So excited for that. Excited we got 20 different activities and events on the calendar tonight, all of which you can have absolutely free thanks to our sponsors. We want to thank them as well. And I want to thank you. It's been a great week. It's going to be an even better week next week. And then, of course, we'll just keep on marching down the line. Some big news coming up in the weeks and months to come. So please, whatever you do, make sure you keep supporting these announcers, these student athletes, these communities, these coaches, these programs, because without them and without you, there would be no them. And without them, there would be no you. So that's going to do it for our show today. Thanks for tuning in. I know not the greatest of shows, a little bit boring, but Richie will join us again on Monday and we'll get things kicked back up. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you at 3 o'clock on Monday on the YSN Power Hour presented by Toyota of Warren. Peace.
YSN thanks you